First, got to pop up. Just in case you didn't see it, I'm just going to put up here one more time because I have no idea how this broadcast is going to go. Yeah. All right, welcome to the show. Hi, I'm Drew. I'm with CRFTSHO. We don't know what this is yet. This is a show that is community made, community driven. It's kind of unfolding in front of us. There's a great team member. We have great guests. We have this whole crazy thing. No idea the format of the show. We have a partial script. It's got 4 lines on it. And we're going to start with that and go from there. So comments are live. We can monitor those best we can. And eventually I'll kick somebody out if I have to and bring you in. We have the ability to bring you in live. So the first person I'm going to bring up is a guy I work with, spend a lot of time with. I think I'm actually okay to be socially close to this guy because at this point we'd be sick. Here's my very good friend, Jeff. What's up, Worrells?
Not much. If we were socially close, we would still be in the same building.
Yeah, that's very true. It is a little warm here today, by the way. We've had our building shut down, but I'm running rogue right now. So, is what it is in that capacity.
My house also.
Good. What's that?
Hey, mine's pretty warm too, but
well, that's because of your dad.
3-year-old living with me, so
right. You need to be very careful, right?
Exactly.
Tell us your story. What's going on with you over there?
Let's see. Instead of being at the CRFTSHO office, I am sitting 45 minutes away at my house. My wife is with me, and my father is actually out somewhere right now, hopefully not too far. Everybody might hear his leaf blower going through the house at some point during this thing. But yeah, let's try to just stay quarantined. She doesn't have to work. I don't have to work at the moment. I can work from home. She can't work from home. We're just trying to take it one day at a time, trying to keep my dad from doing stuff so that he doesn't get sick.
So kind of what you're saying is it's not the millennial thing with your dad. He's out there just crushing it on his own, like spring break.
He's the old man that
thinks the beach and stuff, partying, or
he's not. He thinks he can't get sick.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
Or he thinks he is going to get sick and he's just ready for it.
No, I totally get that too. We like to keep things confusing on this show. So our next contributor, if you will, is another guy named Jeff. Jeff, welcome to the stream.
Oh, hey, thanks for having me, guys.
So what's going on, Jeff? What's going on in your world and your beautifully lit stage there? What's happening? And tell us where you are, by the way, because some of these people might know and some may not.
So my name's Jeff Fagan. I'm a filmmaker from South Florida, and right now I'm sitting here in quarantine in the studio in my house, just kind of like most of you guys probably are. It's interesting. I'm very fortunate that I can work from home, so it's been somewhat of a busy week trying to come up with media. I work for a jazz magazine in addition to doing my filmmaking stuff. So a lot of the stuff we're doing is like digital audio creation and video creation. So I've just been trying to keep busy in this time of quarantine, but it's been fun.
That's awesome. So we've met Jeff. We've known each other for a while. And now with this new kind of awesome technology we have multiple people, and we got more. We got even more. We've got a man that has now listen, I'm going to predicate this. I have told stories of this gentleman multiple times to Jeff Worley, right? Jeff.
Yes, you did.
So Jeff, bearded Jeff. Let's go with beard face. I've told these stories to Beard Fosse multiple times. He understood, he laughed at him, but it wasn't until he met this fellow that he finally understood the insanity that is this gentleman, Mr. Jim with 2 M's. How's it going, Jim?
I'm fine. How are you? I don't think I can live up to that at all. Anyway,
you already do.
Everybody told you look like the guy from Star Wars Theory.
I don't know. I mean, if I can take like 100,000 of his viewers or subs, I'd probably just be fine for life.
I understand it. So can you kind of tell us about your world? Because you've got an interesting scenario where you are and then your life in general and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I'll start out with where I am and how I got here. So a year ago on New Year's Eve, going into 2019, I got married. And then 17 days later, my mom passed away. She was fighting both cancer, and then she passed away of leukemia, which we didn't even know she had. It just came on quick from some of the medications she was taking. And then I was living in Cleveland, Ohio at that point. And then probably 30 days from there, I ended up finding out that we had to move to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So my wife can finish her medical training to be a level 1 pediatric ER trauma doctor, and through a crazy set of circumstances in which she's kind of getting screwed over, this was the only path to get her there. And so we kind of just said, yeah, we're going to go do that and take care of that for 2 years. And then we can live kind of wherever we want to after that. And so we're about 9 months into that journey. And I've kind of been in isolation myself because of that. It's been kind of weird for me from the perspective of I haven't really wanted to make too much of a life for myself here because I know we're not staying. So it's been a little bit bizarre. Luckily, I got to travel a lot last year through my work. So my work, I am a producer for kind of a creative studio that creates content for Fortune 500 companies. And sometimes we create really interesting content. Sometimes we create garbage content. And my role is like always evolving within that scope because they just kind of throw you out whatever a client need is. And luckily over the past year, I've got to travel and work with Drew multiple times. And hopefully whenever this virus clears up, we'll be able to work some more this year too. And probably some of the best memories of last year were working with Drew and Jeff Worley.
No, of course. That's always been the case. It's always delightful.
Yes.
And you're in an interesting scenario that I think we'll talk about as we explore this. We have no idea. I mean, this is going to be as fluid as we can make it because of your wife is in the healthcare side. She's in the ER and she's on the front lines, if you will. I think those conversations, as far as willing as you are to have them, are going to be really important and nice to have. Speaking of front lines, we have a guy who was crushing it in the field. He may be frozen. Scott, are you frozen? I can't totally tell. We're about to see what happens. Scott Balcom. I'll get it right when you correct me here in a second. We're gonna bring Scott into the mix. Scott, are you alive? Wait, are you there? Scott. Yes. He's getting out of his car. Scott's hand, everyone. Welcome to Scott's hand. I don't know if he knows that he's live TV, live whatever this is at some point.
Films in
yeah, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
There we go.
All right,
Just
you're
got
using
home,
some
so
technology that's pretty
signal
crazy.
right outside my house.
Yeah, pardon the delay. Go ahead, Scott. Tell us who you are.
What's
Tell
up,
us
everybody? Scott Balcom here with Imagination Creation Films, and how are you doing today? I'm fantastic. Well, I'm in isolation out in the middle of nowhere. I got sunglasses at night in the day.
So I know this is a little weird.
Yeah.
Tell us life. Give us a little update on life and such.
I can. We're doing out here.
Oh, he has no audio.
Bad silver reception.
All right, well, I'm going to bump you down for a second there, Scott. We'll just keep you in the mute.
Yeah, we come back.
Yep. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and tell real quickly my scenario, and then I'm going to bring our first round of guests. So for me, I am a filmmaker, started in the film industry, been in it for a long time. I work with Jeff with the big beard. I work with him a good bit, and if you don't know that already. And I have two young kids, and frankly, when this all started, I'm like a restaurant. Me and Jeff's business is like a restaurant. We've lost pretty much all of our work. Not in a bad way. I'm not saying it negatively. It's just the reality of it. It's kind of hard to shoot a lot of content the way we do it. We're filmmakers, so our sets are very much about having people, and we're crammed in small rooms for a long time, and it gets awkward, and there's odors and all kinds of wacky stuff. So that said, it makes for a weird scenario, and some of those people that I've spent a lot of time in small spaces with, I was going to try and bring in here now. We may be having all kinds of challenges because we are literally cramming the streaming through. But I wanted to bring in our guest, first round of guest, which is going to be Jeremy and Sherri. Jeremy Sande and Sherri Sande. They are hitched, but they are independently powerful. If you separate them, they're like Kylo and Rey, making a dumb Star Wars joke. Let's pop them in the stream. What's up, guys? And they're probably frozen. Hey, there they are. Now you guys are live. How's it going?
Referred to me as Kylo Ren, but
If I get to be
No. I was referring to you as Rey and Sherri as Kylo Ren.
that okay.
So
Can you hear us? We're having some audio issues earlier.
yeah, look, this is all new world, right? We're trying something totally different. We're trying to make a whole new way of putting content out in a different capacity, right? We're trying to make it a new thing, and it's always tricky. Scott, I'm going to add you back in the stream. There we go. Scott's here. Great. I'll go back to Jeremy then for a second. We'll come back to Scott. This is all kind of uncharted territory. We're letting it be what it is. If it's organic, it's raw, and it is kind of how it goes. So can you guys give us just a little bit of your background, where you are, what's going on, how things are, why you don't have a shirt on, all that kind of stuff? If you can hear me.
See if that works. Try that.
You're still live. You're
we
seeing
see
your
it.
apartment for the first time. It's delightful. Totally raw.
Oh, we're still okay. All right, we're good. Cool. I think we have it figured out.
Possibly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can
Now
you
tell us where you guys are. Yeah, we can. Just tell us where you guys are and what's going on.
So we're in New Orleans, actually over in Metairie. For those that know the area, it's like 3 miles west of New Orleans. She's from here originally, so she can tell you a little bit more about it. But yeah, I actually went to Trader Joe's yesterday, and it had not completely been bought out yet, but you can definitely see how there was no toilet paper, there was no all the stuff that everybody has bulk bought, and traffic was noticeably less yesterday than it was last week. Gray Kitty's going to get in her.
Yeah, our
video.
cat's about to knock the tripod. Sorry. Not an earthquake.
Right.
Yeah, we live in Metairie. It's just more suburban, a little quieter than city of New Orleans. So so far, not a whole lot of change. You can probably see my 3-monitor setup back there. I brought my work home. And I'm really fortunate that I can work from home. Jeremy, a lot of his work is freelance. So, I think we're preparing for maybe a couple of months of, just one job. So we'll see, so far so good. We've been making meal plans and figuring out what to cook every night. And it's just kind of, that mode right now, real settled in here.
It's just a big sleepover party. That's all.
Well, can you guys maybe tell us? Obviously, I know I've worked with you a bunch. Can you kind of maybe tell us what you guys do in terms of professional careers? Because Sherri has 2. Jeremy, you have 1. Maybe we can. You can determine who's more badass because of that. But can we talk about maybe what you guys do professionally?
Yeah, we're both actors, so that is, that happens when it happens. We're usually auditioning multiple times per week, and that's sharply slowed down right now because all of the TV and film productions pretty much in the entire Southeast have been shut down. For some of them have put a time period, some of them didn't even bother. So that's probably at least the next few weeks, if not the next few months, of probably a dead zone there. It has been interesting because I think a lot of our indie filmmaker friends are quarantined as well.
Right.
So a lot of the people that, you might not hear from as often have been contacting us like, hey, while we're all stuck, can we do some auditions, or can we do a table read, or can we, kind of work on some ideas for a project? So we've had a lot of that. And I think today we even have to tape a few auditions for somebody. So that's kind of cool. So even though the more professional or not professional, the more commercial work and studio work is almost fully stopped. Like all of our indie guys are really busy right now. So that's kind of cool. And then my other job, the day job, that's, thank goodness, is feeding me right now is, I'm a fiber network designer. The company that I work for is the contractor for phone companies. So like right now we're designing a fiber network for, Knoxville, Tennessee for Verizon. So that's my nerdy work side.
I don't know. That's Scott. Didn't you weren't you in that industry for a while? Am I wrong?
Yeah. Yes, I was. I was a IT storage architect and enterprise communications architect. get all that fun stuff.
So there's no real overlap. I don't think. I don't think you can like, like in our world now, we all like toss jobs to each other. Can you toss a job from the corporate world? Be like, hey, I got this guy. I know a dude that, and this young lady, and this. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out how. I'm just trying to bring it together.
Yeah,
Jeremy, go ahead, Jerry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. So she has the day straight freelance, and like she said, everybody that works crew on the shows down here, I think the last one finally closed down mid last week, and so you have everybody quarantined off in their own house. But like we're doing, you have the technology advances to where we can still create. And so a friend of mine, Michael Brophy, we made that short film that I gave you the link to last week, because it's like everybody's staying at home, so you got access to locations, but that's where the balance of like, okay, so do we take this super serious and we just lock ourselves indoors and like chain ourselves here, or do we use moderate safety and go shoot like we've always shot? I don't know. That's where I'm personally at.
No, I totally get it. I think I don't know. I don't think everybody in here has probably seen it yet, but it was really well made and it was interesting. I'm going to try and post the link if it'll throw it up there. It's not showing it right now, but I'll see if I can figure that part out. Again, kind of dealing with something new in that space. Do you guys have any? So they're on there. It goes. Now it's working. Do you guys have, in terms of sort of mindset, one of the challenges I have is we look at it from production side and our business has slowed down. But if you guys are still getting auditions, what are you doing in terms to keep your mindset centered on, not losing hope, but kind of keeping yourself in a space where you can jump into character and be sort of one of those individuals that can turn it on when you need to?
I mean, are we being raw here? Are we being like, how raw are you?
Yeah, I would ask you. No, we're trying to F-bomb it. That's the only thing.
Copy that. It's kind of, I had this conversation with a friend of mine yesterday where, as filmmakers, we see the world through crazy lenses anyways. And so now it's this time where it's like reality is such a distorted thing right now. It's like, I don't think that anybody has a grasp on what is actually going. And so for that, it's like, I'm just going to lean hard into my crazy. Let's go for it. And so the more different characters that we have, I think everybody's a little bit more bumped up emotionally. So it's more of a, it's a free for all, guys. Let's just have some fun with this.
I think the translation to that is Jeremy's kind of excited for the end of the world. So anyway,
get your green hats. We're going to drink it.
Yep, there we go.
I have been thriving on my routine and cleaning a lot, so we're very different people. So Jeremy has been like working on his bug out bag and like making his plans for the end of the world and stuff, and I'm mostly just trying to stay on as much of a routine as possible. So we'll see which one of us wins in the end.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I mean, that's always
I'm just
the case.
going to preface this with the last apocalyptic film that her and I were both in. I survived. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, there we go. Can you plug that one? Is it pluggable?
I mean, Road to Zion. Yeah, it's pluggable.
I think it's on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay.
She ran out to check on the child and got eaten by zombies.
I would call that
happened.
right?
That happened.
Yeah, you have to be concerned about that.
So in terms of just kind of what New Orleans feels like, I mean, you guys have seen it escalate. I've seen a lot of your posts on social. Like, has it backed off a little bit about like people going out and stuff, or is it still like, because here Mobile is just being straight rebellious, like where we're based, and people, I mean, streets are busy, everything looks like it's business as usual. Like they're not following. I'll be candid, they're not following rules here. Like my gym is still wide open and it's packed every day. I don't go there. I just drive by and look at it.
Oh yeah, no, they shut French Quarter down. Like, the police went in and were like, you fucking idiots need to go.
So last weekend there was what would have been a really big St. Patty's Day parade, and they do a block party at a really popular bar uptown, and they canceled the parade, but people still flocked to the bar anyway and filled the street and basically did the block party. And so in response to that, the city started shutting more things down. They were like, okay, you're not taking this seriously. And I think as of yesterday, the actual city of New Orleans is in a more strict shelter in place situation. Like I think only essential personnel can come and go, and you can still go get drive through or like to go food and groceries. But other than that, they're really trying to get people to stay home. We're in a suburb of New Orleans. This thing has a pop up, sorry. We're in a suburb, and so far that mandate hasn't been put on our parish, our county. But I'm kind of expecting it to come soon. We were trying to jog outside, not last night, but the night before. I have no idea what day it is. And we went to a local park. No, today's Saturday. We went to a local park, and there were just people everywhere. They had kids doing soccer practice. They had people jogging, people playing frisbee and stuff. I mean, it was like a holiday. It was so full, and I felt like we completely defeated the purpose of social distancing by even being there. So yesterday we tried to jog on the street. Yeah.
I'm kind of scared of a frisbee. It seems like a frisbee would be a giant a flying petri dish that would just fly through the air, spreading this around. The thing that we've all talked about is I think we have to find some level of not humor, but we have to keep ourselves motivated in that way. One of the ways we've been doing it, a lot of us, we're all in the industry of content creation of some sort. So this is a kind of a question. We'll throw it around and let everybody answer it. You guys are part of it. I'll let Jeff Worley, Beardface, go first. But the question is, or at least the question I have is, right now, content is completely different. Like, it's really important. It's always been very important in our culture currently. But now it's kind of like content is out there creating stuff. Are you finding that in your world, or are you finding that you're consuming even more now? Or is it you think you're still on the same level of it? I mean, how much are you watching on a daily basis kind of thing? And, that space.
Yeah, I'm actually still about the same level. I find I'm watching more idiotic stuff, actually, like on YouTube. But overall, I feel I'm still doing the same. I know a lot of people that are doing nothing but watching TV, Netflix, Hulu, stuff like that the whole time.
Yeah. What about you, Fagin?
I'm definitely consuming more. I mean, how much more I couldn't say, but I mean, we're home. We're home all day. It's whether you're consuming more Netflix or online content, whether you're playing more video games. I mean, what is there to do when you're stuck home? There's obviously things to keep busy. Like, we've been doing more podcasts at work because that's something easy that everybody can do. A little bit more video work of really just videos we've had stockpiled up where it's kind of like, oh, we should have made that video a few months ago. Let's knock that out now. But I mean, yeah, definitely more, I would say.
What about you, Jim?
So at the moment, probably about the same, just from the perspective that most of the winter we were snowed in and it was like -15. So there was a high level of content being consumed from that anyways. But I've actually it's been more YouTube content for me of just people talking and trying to hear people have a dialogue rather than drama shows or anything that's highly produced. I've kind of been turning away from that a little bit, other than a small list of shows that I do look forward to. There isn't a ton that I'm really liking now because of the political climate of shows or what Hollywood's doing with these shows. So I definitely am looking forward to getting outside more, and hopefully I will be able to in South Dakota, whereas in New Orleans might not be able to. Right now they're not super taking it too seriously up here just because the low number of cases and the low number of tests that are even available. So it's kind of weird up here right now because I don't think people know what to do, and so they're just acting like they always do.
That's similar to our space because we're in such a smaller community. I think size for size, we're roughly the same. What about you guys? What about you, the Sandies? What are you guys doing in terms of are you watching more content? I mean, I know we're kind of week one, but what is your consumption like? Are you finding other ways to tantalize your brain? What are you doing?
So I have recently become a TikTok addict.
Hmm.
No, I am honestly, I feel as though I'm consuming less, because it's like if you get on the internet, you're going to run across some misinformation, some grossly like exaggerated news story that then it's going to, with my mental health, I just can't go down rabbit holes. And so it's like I've kind of delved more into just creating and making these little shorts, and just kind of like, until my day-to-day life is affected, I'm just going to not let this affect me. That's the way that I've been approaching it. But as far as watching things, like we'll sit down at night and run a show. We just started Westworld season 3 with Aaron Paul. Looks pretty good. She cashed out halfway through it, but I like it. It's not it hasn't bit me as much as the second season. And then we just finished Narcos last week. What else do we do?
Well, I'll bring up. I got a separate question for that if you want.
Yeah.
I can bring that up here in a bit. I just was kind of curious from a consumption side. So, Scott, I'm going to toss it to you. I'm going to let you do your intro because you got cut off from Magic's cell phone. But let's do your intro and then answer the question when you get to it.
All right. Hey, what's up? Scott Balkan here with Imagination Creation Films. And today, well, I'm in my studio because Fagin was making me look bad. But yeah, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. And as I was driving in, it was like, okay, I was going to get my intro. I was going to get we're doing others. Okay, good. I'll get home. And then literally, as soon as I pull in my driveway, which is a dead spot, that's when we go to the intro. So, yeah, apologize for that. That's life. But I'm a filmmaker here out just east of Austin, Texas. And it's kind of an interesting mix out here because, like, in my little area, we're kind of country out in the woods. Our big grocery stores are bare. There's nothing in them. We went this morning about 9 o'clock. They opened at 8. And the line went around back behind the store, behind the loading dock. And I said, you know what? We're good. We'll be all right. We got food. So but in town, in Austin, they got food. They've got plenty. I mean, people are just being weird. It's really kind of sad because people are overreacting. But yeah, it's a thing out here. And then we are doing our thing. We kind of like inherently self-quarantine because we live on acreage out here in the middle of nowhere. We're as far away from the city as you can get without getting closer to another one. And yeah, we just got back from what was my weekend gig for the next 8 weeks. It got shut down, so we had to go tear all that down and bring it back. And that's where I'm at. I'm here. I'm only on my iPad. I'm sorry, Fagin. I can't boot up the other camera real quick. Just to make
you got it, Scott. Next time, I know you got this.
I know.
I actually thought you were going to be on with your camera this time because
I was driving. I mean, this was a test run. I didn't know we were looking all cool and everything.
Well, you'll like it. It's a very easy system. So
it is.
You got
really
this.
Cool.
Yeah.
So part of what is this conversation is, and the reason we're kind of going with it is we initially a group of us got together. Jeremy's part of the group. Sherri can be added here shortly. We started kind of just talking about looking at content and saying, hey, wait, this is a moment in history that's never existed, may never exist again, hopefully, right? And so we all kind of started talking about it and kind of just temporarily, or just pardon the word, but we were calling it Project Corona, and it was just a gag for us to kind of talk and figure out ways of how can we tell stories within this space? How can we share information in a way that's not just newsy and all that kind of junk, but it's more about like conversations. While we're socially distant, we have access to tools like this, what we're using to connect people. Like we had people on their cell phones, whatever it's going to work. So one of the things I wanted to throw out there is, and this is a question for everybody in this group and to our audience. Feel free to throw your comments in as we go through. But what do you think about? What would you like to see? Like right now, if you had the ability, and you have to be mindful of what we're dealing with, right? We have a social distancing policy in place. We have, we don't want to get anybody sick, but what do you want to see? What kind of content would you like to see? I'll let you guys start talking through, but let's start with Scott Balcom. What kind of content would you like to see right now? What would get you going in terms of creating something new? And then we'll just riff on that. I'm going to keep it up so everybody can take their turn.
I mean, I personally would like an entire episode devoted to Drew saying my last name correctly. Balcom. But no, I mean,
Troy, and we call it La Crux where I'm from.
Well,
so
better than La Crotch. I mean, that's what a lot of people call it too. I mean, content for me is so. We're at an interesting time. So documentary style is very important so people can get real, like on the street news that is not shaped by any narrative of any kind. It's real. It's it's hardcore. It may be soft. You never know. Probably just got you demonetized. The other thing is people want to be entertained as well. They want comedies like you were talking about a minute ago, like the flying playing disc golf or playing frisbee is a flying petri dish. I mean, I instantly said, "Oh, that's a great skit." Boom! I got it. Yep, he got it. I mean, comedy really does help in trying times. It helps people get through it. Levity helps. Also, drama, narrative, all kinds. I mean, there's a huge draw right now for people to do something new that they can't, because normally they're watching TV, they're watching YouTube, whatever they're consuming, and they're like, I need something different. They take a break and they go out and do something. So we need to supplement the go out with whatever they might try to do and give them something entertaining in any way, or news or informational that they couldn't get before.
Yeah. Anybody else got thoughts? Somebody jump in.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I really like, I agree with Scott. I think docu-style is definitely a really cool way to find some people's stories. I mean, so many different people and businesses that they're working in are in a unique period of time because, or at least where I'm from, bars are completely shut down. They're not allowed to open at all. But businesses like restaurants that were basically fine dining establishments with no kind of takeout whatsoever have now transitioned to a complete takeout only business. Other businesses are working remotely. It's such a unique time that I'd love to hear people's stories of what are they doing to kind of work with the times to stay in business. And there's so many different stories. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I really
adapting.
Scott's idea of DocuSell too, but I really appreciated whenever he said unbiased. Because I really do feel that most of the documentaries on Netflix right now are completely biased with a goal of creating as many episodes as possible to try and get that director or producer fee or whatever fee they're going for. And most of them are just watered down when they should be 2-hour documentaries, but they're like 6-episode series. So I think it's like very important to go in without that biased agenda and try to capture people. And so I really did appreciate that by Scott.
You remember that disclaimer link I put at the beginning of the show? That's for Jim Needle. That's for that guy right there. And I don't want anybody's opinion. I think it's important that we should have that kind of conversation, keep it raw. Look, as actors, I think it's an interesting scenario. Content's going to come you guys' way. This is for the Sandies. Like, same thing. What do you think you can do Sandy-wise? I mean, you guys have TikTok. Your TikTok game is pretty funny. It's strong. Like, what else are you guys? What can you do? What do you feel like you would want to see, or what would you want to partake in terms of creating content now in this new kind of space for it?
Well, so we have access to a friend of mine has a studio like right above the causeway, which schematically it's 2 left turns and a right. It's probably about a mile's worth of distance, and so it's like, if the social distancing continues, as long as they don't impede travel, I should be able to get to a studio where I can actually make quality stuff. And so we're working on a ad campaign for a company up there. And I would like to continue to just, if I can find some actors or some crew people that are willing to just get in their car and come straight to one location, shoot some stuff and just shoot some scenes and just see what happens. And it's like, I have the style of whatever life gives you, let's work with it. And so it's like, great, if they're going to put everybody up in their homes and we're all going to catch the shit anyways, let's just ride it out and see what kind of locations we get. And when life gives us lemons, we make an apocalyptic sequel to Heirloom or whatever. I'm down with it. And so I think that the whole like the documentary narrative creative, we could shift it on a daily basis where it's like, hey, they just locked down such and such. It's like, sweet. Well, we got 15 minutes. We can go run and get some B-roll. Cool. Great. Now we got it stashed for a later date, and we just stockpile shit through this, see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, does anybody else have anything to throw in terms of that?
Yeah, apocalyptic lemon pie. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you were asking like something that we would want to play. I mean, just the fact that people are quarantined at home and spending a lot of time like reworking how their family dynamic works. I mean, you've got an opportunity for not even really making it about the virus, but having some either really funny or really intense family stories, about what that does to a relationship or whatever. I think there's lots of opportunities to create interesting stuff with that as the backdrop. It could be our marriage story. We were
let's not that movie is depressing. Let's not make yeah. If it's a post-apocalyptic, like you're fighting zombies marriage story, I would watch that. But I don't know if I could get through it.
Well, I mean, we're early in this. It could mutate to a zombie apocalypse.
It could be the prequel to Heirloom.
It is the prequel to Heirloom. It could become a Zamboni.
Nate loses his wife.
Oh, is that Jeff?
Yeah, I was just saying this could be a prequel to Heirloom. Nate is married. Something happened.
Oh God, that's depressing.
Yeah, it might be the zombie thing. Sorry, Jack.
It might be fun for each of us content creators to pick the worst thing that we ever worked on and share amongst the group.
Oh, if you do that, that's
I think Drew and I have the same one.
I know it's terrible. We know it in a heartbeat as soon as you say it. I know exactly. I think the more raw the conversation is, the more real it is, the more entertaining it actually becomes, because it should be broken, because the world's broken right now and we're all working together to try and mend it. And I think it's much more interesting if we acknowledge that and have fun with it and just say, look, this is what it is. I'm all for narrative stuff. I love docu-style stuff. I just want to hear, I need encouragement. If I'm being bluntly honest, like truly honest, I woke up this morning, and this was the first time, literally this morning, that I felt like things were not going to go well. Like I got scared. I started looking at my family. I got 2 little kids. I'm just being straight up. What am I going to do? How am I going to feed my family if I don't get any more work? I looked at what I had in the books. I had a lot. And it's gone. And one of it was dealing with people that are majorly at risk now. It was with an older group. So I'm not going to have that job probably for a very long time. I go ahead and probably think in my head it's not going to exist anymore. So I'm kind of thinking about that weight. So anything that kind of inspires me is good, whether it's funny or serious. It doesn't matter as long as someone's offering some level of inspiration. I think that's what the concept of this initial dialogue was. And we wanted to make it open to the community. That was the bigger part of it. We wanted to make it where people could literally say what they want. So I'm asking the chat. Kevin Kelly said Heirloom prequel, which is awesome. I think that's great, Kevin. I'd love to talk to you at some point too. I know you're in Dallas. Jared Budlong says found footage documentary from across the country. That's a great idea too. Love it.
Absolutely. Any
of that kind of stuff is great. I think we just need to, I think just getting out there and pushing stuff and putting it through. Let me ask the group again. This is something that came up in our conversation. I'm putting it here public because it applies to everyone who's watching and anybody on the channel. What would you think about if it were using a soft word? Scott, you phrased it better last night when we were talking, but it's not really assignments, but it's kind of like assignments. Like we would give, like a scramble does. We're not telling you to do anything, but like a film scramble does, where they say you got to use a shoe, the letter H, and a banana or whatever. But what if there were like little, how'd you phrase that, Scott?
No, he's muted.
You're muted, Scott. Scott, you're muted.
Hey, good.
There you are.
Welcome back.
I think what I was saying was like if we gave everybody and told everybody what our intention was to take 2 minutes of your product and your product, we would like it to be broken up into like 30-second segments of showing let's just say it was like showing B-roll of your community and what it looks like. And then interviews of people that are there, commentary about how things are, that kind of thing. Give them ideas, but not really tell them we want you to shoot this and shoot this. We want it to be up to you creatively to decide that, but so that they understand we're going to take pieces of that 1 30-second segment and combine it with these other 30 pieces so that they all make sense together. Like this is what it looks like in Austin, Texas. This is what it looks like in Mobile, Alabama. This is what it looks like in, in
Roll Tide, Scott.
Louisiana.
Just roll Tide, bro.
Yeah. So, I mean, doing it that way, that makes it easier for us to assemble. And then we were talking last night, the more people we have, we can make smaller groups of people so that we can have different kinds of what, if people are more interested in one thing, then we can group those people together and they can go out and capture that feeling of a piece. And other people, if they want to just do a documentary style, they can capture that piece. But we just kind of have a general idea of how we want to assemble it so that people know what to kind of gather, but not really force them to gather a particular thing. I think is that right? Is that how I did it?
Yeah, that was good. That's solid. Actually, something just popped in the chat. I'm going to throw it up here. Baron Galliard from YouTube says, it's time to step up the green screen skills. Actors can film themselves in front of a green screen. Someone else shoots the locations and someone else edits. Good times. If we did actor ad libs, I think that is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, that could be funny.
Totally
Green screen the movie.
Jerry, do you guys have a green screen?
They
We do.
They do.
How do we test that? Can we do that? Scott Balcom has one. Let's do it. Balcom?
Yeah, I got one right here. I don't know.
I got
Yeah,
a green
over
site.
there.
I think we should. If you have a green screen, we have one as well at Craft Show. I think if you have a green screen, we film and you just say what you're going to say, and then we'll pass it to an editor and we superimpose somebody in the background.
Yeah.
And just
So
that's
like, whose line is it anyway? The way they used to do that, don't let them know what they're talking about. Just have
Exactly
them describe
right.
the situation.
exactly
And then,
right.
Yeah, the editor throws them in the middle of a snowstorm
I
and
like
we're
it.
talking about how horrible it is out there.
It's Wayne's World. Oh,
Yeah,
we're in Delaware.
Look, it's Idaho, Delaware.
What was that, Cherry?
I feel like depending on who films first, so the actor could film first, or the film crew filming the background could film first, and then it's just a challenge of how can you make it match up.
Yeah, but I think it's like those Mad Lib things where you fill in the blank. It's like say a noun, and then all of a sudden, or actors, here's the word. The word is triumph. But what does that mean? Or whatever. You find the right one and you film the background for all of us. Whoever wants to be on camera can do it, right? But then you send it to editors and they just drop them in, and suddenly you have these very random situations. Obviously, we would screen those before we put them out because some people would send us garbage water. But
Yeah.
There's one thing we could do too, where it's like, someone starts off and they come up with an idea for a story, and then they do like 15 seconds. Then the next person takes it for the next 15 seconds, and you kind of like make a story out of everyone's little idea.
That's a great way to do a narrative.
Guys, we can make this work on across any platform. I think that's a brilliant test.
Yeah, I like that.
If we want to try that, and for that, I'm gonna shout out again. Baron Galliard came up with that. Our pal from see, that's why it's a community driven.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Baron, well done. That's why it's community driven. That's what we're talking about. So we will go after that. We'll give it a shot. See what happens. And we'll just see. We'll see if it occurs. If it flows out and it works, then great. It'll be fun. If it's a lot of labor, then we won't. But we'll just keep the time limit. We'll come up with more rules. We'll post another episode where we actually go over what the rules are going to be for this first quote. Not assignment, but what are we calling it? What was the word we're using there, Scott? Anybody?
I don't remember.
What's that?
That was last night. That was your job to remember.
I know, but I was
12
drinking.
hours is a long time.
Yeah, last night is a long time ago right now.
Yeah.
Gosh. Did you save the session?
Oh yeah, I did. No, I didn't go live with it, so I didn't save it. The other thing is these sessions are going to be available as podcasts as well. Once I figure out where the heck to put those, I will put those out there and let them go. We're kind of at a point where we can talk about some stuff. I'd love to know what people. Oh, actually, RT Herwig has an interesting comment here. I'm going to throw it up. RT says, with all these video conferencing windows, it feels like a rear window situation. Oh, that's interesting. I'd love to see live shorts that all take place in multiple single locations. All windows create an overall tapestry of a larger story. Tapestries. That's brilliant, man. Well
That's
done.
interesting.
Mm-hmm. It's a
It's
good
more of a
idea.
Brady Bunch
Tapestry.
thing.
Yeah, but wait,
That's
who's Marsha then? Who becomes Marsha? Would that be Jeff's beard face or
Marsha.
a lot of dudes? We got a lot of
Yeah.
dudes.
Yeah.
It's a pretty
Brady
dude.
Bros.
Yeah.
People being sacrificed. I don't know what's
Hey,
happening.
look, there's Marsha.
Whatever.
And Jen and Cindy.
I love the idea. So one of the questions I had, I did a live stream a couple days ago, and the question popped up. Sorry guys. The question popped up, which was, what are you watching? See, these comments are coming in great. Randolph Dixon said, by the way, quest. That's pretty brilliant. So it's like we're on a quest to figure out a story. I think that's brilliant. And then it was further amplified by Jeff's biggest fan, Worley's biggest, maybe Jeff Fagan's too. I don't know. Maybe all Jeff in the world's biggest fan. I like it. I like that idea. But one of the things that came up was, what are you watching? And so just kind of following this really garbage script that I have here that only had 4 topics. The last one was a segment that we were temporarily calling streaming stuff, whatever that means. What are you guys watching? Let's start with Worley. What are you watching there, Jeff? Worley?
Yeah, I'll go first. My first one is Letterkenny, which I've been watching for a while. It just keeps going back and forth, back and forth. Can't quit watching it. Still watching The Hunters. I have not finished it yet. Pretty big fan of it so far. There's some problems.
I fell asleep a lot. I'm not knocking anybody's work. It was tough.
And then the other one would be my not so secret love of indie wrestling.
Yeah, I know you're. I'll give you the
I've done deep dive while I've been gone.
Yeah, that's good. Mm-hmm. What about you, Fagin? What are you watching, Jeff? Geoff?
So I've been watching Picard.
There we go.
We got the season finale next week, and I've been watching Altered Carbon. I've been watching Hunters as well, and then I've gotten a few episodes into The Witcher, but I have I think I like only 2, but I like it. It's just a lot for me. It's not my typical kind of show, but it looks nice. It looks like a cool story.
2 things to throw out here. The first one being, I'm a wrestling fan as well. I don't think anybody else in this group really is, but I don't know if anybody in the comments might be. The weirdest thing right now is watching wrestling without crowds. So if you have a fan, just go look at that, because it's really bizarre. It's like, I know it's not sports, but it's like literally sports without a crowd. It's like the most pitiful sports team you've ever seen is playing with no one in the arena to watch. It's really bizarre.
Do they have like the audience?
Yeah,
they don't have any audience sounds like superimposed in the background, like
No, I mean it's empty arena, and some of them still turn to do promos like there's a crowd, like they're doing this and there's no one there. It's the most bizarre sort of scenario. The other thing is Picard. I didn't think I'd spend the money on CBS All Access, and I ended up doing it. And I will tell you, as a sci-fi nerd, I've enjoyed every moment of that. I've looked forward to the show. I like the fact that it's at least right now. Especially right now, this is an important thing. Episodic, instead of it being bingeable to me, it's way more interesting when they trickle it out, because it makes me wait for the next episode. And I have very little self-control. If there's 3 episodes in a row, I can watch them all. This makes me kind of wait for it. Has anybody else had the same experience? Anybody else watching Picard yet? Anyone?
I'm not watching Picard, but Mando did the same thing, Mandalorian, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Well, from a marketing point of view, it's a really, really bad idea to drop all of your shows at once. Because instead of having 10 weeks to get all that hype, you're just dropping it in one day, and then people forget about it a week later. Yep. So I think we're actually going to see more of a return to that weekly type of release structure, because there's going to be so many different streaming services, and people are going to pay for a month and drop it otherwise if they can just binge what they want to watch and move on. And it's going to kill the entire streaming industry in the long run once there's like 25 major streaming companies. So it's interesting to see how that happens, progresses.
What about you guys? Jeremy, you said you guys are watching some stuff. What are you watching now?
Jeff said The Mandalorian. We finished that, and that was.
Didn't you watch Westworld?
But yeah, we started watching Westworld. Yeah, Westworld came out. I guess this past
couple
week.
nights ago.
Yeah, it looks great. I love the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, I found it pretty good. Good.
You guys said Picard, and that's been on my list. I just haven't acquired CBS All Access yet, so I've got to add that to my subscription so I can get it. Unless it comes on something else.
No, it's only on CBS. I would share it with you if I could, but it's tricky because I run mine through Amazon so that my wife doesn't know I'm spending money on it.
Good.
Oh, she maybe does now. We'll see. You can watch my live streams. What am I talking about?
The internet is forever.
Yeah, no joke. Scott, what are you watching?
Yeah, we've been
Oh, sorry,
Like,
Sherri.
Oh
Sherri,
no,
you
I was
need
just
to go?
saying, like, instead of starting new shows, we've ended up just watching a lot of
One
random
Direction.
movies lately. Like, Jeremy had his short that he was working on, so he had certain things that he was like, you know, that one scene from blah 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 movie, and then next thing you know, we're
I made her
watching
watch Leon, the Professional.
which
She'd never
I'd
seen.
seen. Yes,
Great
You've
movie.
never seen.
I had seen
Great
it.
movie. I'm
I'd seen
gonna
it like 4 times.
I'm gonna steal a couple of shots from that one for this next one. The scene with the reflective glasses on the picnic table with the milk, so good.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I've been watching like a lot of old movies and going and revisiting like old like stuff from the 80s and 90s. As just leave all the new stuff alone.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I dig that.
No.
What are you at, Scott? What are you watching?
Oh, you talking to me?
Yes, sir.
Sorry. Lately, been watching Peaky Blinders. Wife and I have really been getting into that one. We were kind of a late start on that. Also, Altered Carbon. Been enjoying that. And then I like to go back and rewatch series, especially series that I think are well written or that have good continuity that just inspire me to story writing. And like the ones that I'm watching, Justified. I'm watching that one again. I love that.
Yeah, I was going to rewatch that one.
Band of Brothers is one of my all-time favorites of a miniseries. And then I'm watching all of the latest Bond films because I like the way those are done compared to previous Bonds. They're far more serious, and I dig that. And it's pretty much that and a lot of YouTube right now.
Debate on some of the Bond stuff sometime. Maybe we'll have a separate. We'll save that for another show. We're coming close on time, but I could talk with you about Bond all day because I find it very frustrating sometimes. I miss the camp.
Totally.
Oh, you're one of those.
Yeah.
I'm a serious guy.
I'm a serious guy.
I don't know. It's like the Joker thing. Like if the Joker gets too serious, like the Joker movie came out, it was too serious for me, and it just I don't know. That's too real for me. There's a point where it's too real.
I love campy and I love slapstick, but when you put a serious with campy, I don't get into it. It's
I
tough.
understand that. I can understand that too. All right, Jim. I almost called you Mr. Pickles. That's your name. That's how you listed in my phone. But what are you watching?
So I started out last fall watching The Orville. I just thought I wouldn't like it. I thought it was going to be like Family Guy over the course of an hour, and I thought I'd get bored with it. And especially because the reviews for it were fairly mediocre. When I ended up absolutely loving it, like I thought it was great. And the longer it went on, the better it got. I'm definitely looking forward to season 3. But that forced me to go back and watch Star Trek: The Next Generation, which I've never watched before. And I think as an adult, that's a way better show than I ever expected it to be. So I'm loving it right now.
That's great. You also had mentioned something about, I'm just remembering because I preloaded all these pictures and I want to use them.
Yeah.
That's a good show.
So I thought last season kind of sucked, but it's starting to ramp up towards, I think, the conclusion, and it's getting a little bit better than it was last season. But the first 2 seasons of Better Call Saul were absolutely awesome. And definitely looking forward to taking that journey with the last 2 seasons that are happening right now.
So my wife, it's scary to me that my wife is a huge true crime fan. She has all these true crime podcasts that she listens to while she's making like these wooden things, like she did Baby Yoda back here. So she's listening to them, and she turned me on to one that just dropped on Netflix that I found fascinating. It's called Tiger King. And I watched one episode last night, and it is bizarro and yet interesting. And for whatever reason, she asked about having a big cat. I don't know what's going on there, so I might not make it much further. Long story short of it, it's a pretty good, interesting show if you're into that kind of true crime stuff. I don't particularly love that stuff because I find it a little depressing, but that story was so bizarre that it kind of roped me in. And I can't fall asleep watching narrative. I can only, like, if I leave the TV on, I'll fall asleep watching doco stuff. I can't fall asleep with narrative on. I don't know what happens, but brain just keeps going. So, all right. So does anybody have any final thoughts? It's like one of those closing thoughts things. Does anybody have anything you want to say? And I'll plop you on the full screen. If you don't, it's not a big deal, but does anybody have any kind of final thoughts you'd like to say before we close this first stream? We ran exactly 1 hour. We're close to 1 hour. That's what our goal was. I love the ideas that came from it personally. I'll toss mine up. So I would just like to say thanks for contributing and throwing ideas. I want to thank everybody that was a part of the show that sat here and talked to us. It's going to rotate. I don't know where it's going to be housed. We'll try and share the links as much as we can. Whose channel? It might be on Balcom. Dang it. I think I got it right that time.
You got it wrong. Balcom. You don't walk. You don't talk.
You balk. Balcom. I
talk.
And I see. Okay, I'm trying. It might be on Scott's channel. It might be on Geoff's channel. Jeff shares one with me. Mr. Pickles doesn't really have one, Jim. Oh, you do?
No, I can get one though. I mean, I'll
I need one now.
Point is, we'll put it out there when it's out. And I just want to thank everybody. I also love the ideas. Thank you so much in the chat for some of the brilliant concepts. Like some of those ideas are absolutely phenomenal. I absolutely love the concept on it. Grateful to see Gina Gregory popped in there.
Yeah.
Wow, so I'm going to pass it over. Jeff, what do you got to say? Anything?
Just thanks for watching it, continuing to watch us and support us through all, golly, 3 years now of being on this thing. I think what we were going to do is changing a little bit, and I think it's going to work out for the better. It's going to be fun to create.
All right.
Jeff.
I just want to thank everybody for watching. And I just want to remind you guys, we have a lot of spare time now. A lot of us are stuck at home in isolation. And now's the perfect time where if there's an audiobook or a book you wanted to read, you can pick it up. There's tons of awesome master classes. I never watch them, but I've been watching some master classes lately. And we've got nothing but time. So you can learn stuff while you're stuck in isolation and make it less bored. Make yourself less bored.
Mr. Pickles.
Yeah, no, just thank everybody and the 6 of you guys for sure for giving us something to do and to have a dialogue with everybody. I think it's cool. Thank you.
All right, Sandy.
Thanks for having us on. Totally like to contribute more to this. Keep us posted.
Yeah.
We got nothing but time.
We're game, and we have a studio with a green screen, so let's do some of these ideas.
Yeah, I think it's a great concept. We're excited for it. Scott. I'm not even going to say your last name anymore.
Balcom. First, some words of potential wisdom. And that is, in order to broaden your mind, you must first learn to limit your objections. That's first. And secondly, thank you all for being a part of all of our lives. I mean, every single person that contributes, every single person that joins chats and allows all these connections, I mean, it means more to all of us than you could possibly imagine. And I thank you all for that.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's see if I can go back here. Also in the comments, doesn't matter when you post it, now or in the future or wherever, it's going to be on Facebook. It's also on the Craft Show YouTube channel. I'll slap this little gimmick up here because I made it. It's all there for that. Throw in the comments. I would love to know your feedback on it. It's community driven. The whole point is to keep this as a community driven thing. These individuals that are all here on screen have, put up their time and part of their Saturday to hang out. And here we go, shamelessly made his own graphic, analog style. And it's great always to follow them across the board if you can. That's always fun. But also, I think the other key to this is just having that conversation of, hey, look, we're just trying to keep the dialogue alive. So we'll make things happen that way. All right. So I guess that will do it for this first one. It was a test. I think it went pretty well. But again, tell us what you think, and we'll see you whenever the next one is, hopefully sooner rather than later. Cheers.
See you guys.
Yep.